I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, shield my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no given. Some days I don't hit, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the option. Woo! Watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC 286. We have Kamaru Usman going against Leon Edwards 3. Really looking forward to the main event. Really looking forward to the card as a whole. We have 15 fights. All 15 are still on. We still have some time to go, but as of now, all 15 are still on. We only had, I believe, one person miss weight, and that was Malcolm Gordon, missed weight by a couple pounds. But yeah, other than that, everybody pretty much looked good at weigh-ins for the most part. But yeah, looking forward to this card as a whole. It's early start time tomorrow, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So looking forward to that as well. And yeah, it should be a fun day just watching fights and hopefully making some money as well. Before we get started, guys, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to the channel if you have not already. Getting really close to that 20K goal. Hopefully we can get there in the very near future. I did do a contest on my full card prediction video. Go check that out. And I also did another contest on my Draftkings video. Also, I'm going to be talking some betting, Draftkings, and weigh-ins. For this card, I do have 13 bets, a couple of those being some small sprinkles. Then I have a couple pretty decent-sized bets as well. So yeah, it should be a fun card from a betting perspective, I'd say. I'm not in love with the card from a DraftKings perspective, but got all my lineups ready to go, getting those in as well. So yeah, should be fun. I do want to shout out Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for everybody that has signed up. I did partner with them this week. A couple of people signed up on there. If you have not already, be sure to use promo code DFSBTN. Get a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. It's basically like Prize Picks, but the payouts are just insane. Like if you hit a 5-piece, you get like a 20 times your X money. So like a $50 hit would win you, or like a $25 hit would win you like 500, and then a $50 hit would win you like 1,000. I mean, the payouts are crazy. So go check that out. Do appreciate all that. Let's check out the chat though. We got Boofy. First one in the chat saying, I wonder how bad the Makhachev shoulder stuff is. Will it affect his takedown output and render him to a decision win? It's enough for me not to lay minus 1,000 on him. I'll say that, but I don't have a bet on that fight. And then I'm not touching him on DraftKings as well at that price tag of 9,700. So it's not going to affect me, but I would not be laying minus 800 to 1,000 on him with that news, especially. We got Sean in the chat saying, let's go, Brady. Let's go, Sean. How you doing? Got Propaholic in the building saying, Brady, what is up, Propaholic? Dope Space saying, what picks stand out the most? Seems like nothing amazing this week. Yeah, I think it's a lot of favorites, kind of like the UFC 285 card where all but one favorite came through, and the one favorite to lose was Valentina somehow. I think a lot of these favorites come through this week. Probably a good parlay card as well. Got Richard in the chat. Entertaining card from top to bottom, pretty much looking forward to some day drinking along with the London crowd. Yes, sir. Should be fun. You can't be serious saying, hey, what is up? Can't be serious. Boofy saying Roman Dolidze over the freak Vettori. I can't wait to talk about that fight. Was going to potentially pick Dolidze, but after looking into the fight, I'm just not sure what his path to victory is, honestly, outside of, I don't know, some meme type finish. So I'm on the Vettori side, very confident Vettori, but Dolidze just finds a way to get it done. So those are the guys you kind of like to bet on. Lord Tom saying, hi there, guys. What is up, Lord Tom? Jacob saying, let's have another plus week, Brady. Yep, it's been a 3-event winning streak for me, and hoping to make it 4 weeks in a row. That'd be nice. But yeah, it's been a good March so far. The Light of Truth 17. What's everyone? What is up? How you doing? We got Flapjack in the chat. What is up? AJ in the chat as well. Good luck this week, Brady. Good luck to you as well. Thoughts on Makhachev's shoulder injury? Like I talked about a little bit. I don't really care about it too much just because I'm not playing him at all. So, I mean, but I would not lay minus 1,000 on him with that shoulder injury news because he keeps talking about it. Like I've seen him, talk about it several times throughout the week, which is kind of sketchy, but I won't be betting the fight regardless. I love the haircut, DFS. Looking good, brother. Appreciate that. If we needed a haircut, finally got one like last week. It was well needed. What's up, Brady? Love the energy from the O2. Yeah, can't wait for it. Not wait for it. I'm trying to come to terms with betting on Hardy. Hey, I mean, it's probably a dog or pass at this price tag. I mean, Juliana Miller minus 450 is wild, but yeah, we'll talk about that fight real soon. What's up, Brady? What is up? Zupeak Music, how you doing? Nicola saying, curious to see which Justin Gaethje shows up tomorrow, the patient Tony Ferguson one or the reckless Chandler one. That'll make or break the result. Yeah, if he shows up like the patient Tony Ferguson one, he's going to not even have a chance in this fight whatsoever. He needs to make this an absolute war to have success in this matchup, at least in my opinion. You in the sauna? It looks like it, huh? It looks like it, but no. It's just I moved into my new house. I'm not sure if I'm gonna hang up like a poster or something behind me, but I am not in the sauna. I am not there. We got Austin in the chat. What's up, Brady? Which fighter has the highest percentage to get a finish this weekend? In terms of the odds, I'm pretty sure it's Hadley. I think it's Hadley. Like Hadley's inside the distance is anywhere from like minus 160 to like minus 200 something. So I think in terms of the odds, it's Hadley. And I think I agree with that as well. I think Hadley has a really good chance to finish Malcolm Gordon. And if he doesn't, he should be ashamed of himself. All right, guys, I say we get into it. And we will start with the first fight of the card. We have Juliana Miller going against Veronica Hardy. And yeah, Juliana Miller is one of the biggest favorites on the card, which is kind of scary, honestly. Like the thing with this matchup is we have not seen Veronica Hardy in 3 years. And what we have seen from her, the tape we have seen from her, she looks awful, right? She's getting dominated by, Ashley Evans Smith. She's getting dominated by Andrea Lee, Jillian Robertson, Bay Malecki. So it's bad. It's very bad. The one bright spot she had was a first-minute submission against Polyana Viana, which still to this day just makes no sense whatsoever. But outside of that, she's just looked atrocious. With all that said, though, the last time we did see Veronica Hardy, she was 24 years old. And how many times do we see these very young fighters take 2-3 years off and come back and looking like a completely different fighter? So that scares me here, especially when we're talking about laying minus 450 on Juliana Miller, who I still think is very green. I think she's improving, and I loved what I saw in her matchup against Brogan Walker. But prior to that, she's looked horrible. I mean, she has no striking defense. Her striking still very much a work in progress. I didn't think she had the best wrestling in the world. But she has that dog in her, and that's enough a lot of times. But in that Walker fight, it did look like she made some improvements. With the wrestling, she was able to get it down to the mat, and she dominated Walker. So I think Miller is making those improvements. We're seeing those improvements, and that's why she's such a big favorite here. And then whereas Hardy, we don't know if she's making improvements. We don't know if she's taken this time off to get better. Or we don't know if she's taken this time off and just did nothing. I don't know. So it's going to be very interesting, but I will not be laying minus 450 on Juliana Miller. That's for sure. I do have a bet on this fight, and I like the violence here, but I liked it a little bit earlier in the week. It's been hit throughout the week. I was able to get the 1 unit down on the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 100. If you can still get that minus 138, where's that at? Betway, like minus 138. I like that. I don't mind like an under 2.5 rounds. I see minus 118 on FanDuel. I think violence is probably the way to attack this. Like if Juliana Miller wins, that probably means she's able to get takedowns, because if she doesn't get takedowns, she's going to probably lose the fight. But I mean, she's able to get takedowns, and on the mat, she's a savage. She has a really good ground and pound. She has a really good submission game. So I think Miller does finish this fight, but I'd be looking more towards the fight doesn't go to decision or the under. Even like Miller inside the distance, you're laying chalk on it. So just take the fight doesn't go. Play both sides there, because we have seen Veronica Hardy go out there and get a submission win over Polyana Viana, which it doesn't make sense, but she was able to do it. So give me violence here to kick off the night. 1 unit on that fight doesn't go to decision. Plus 100. Obviously, it's moved quite a bit, but there are still some very playable lines out there. From a DraftKings perspective, I like Miller quite a bit on DK. I think she has takedown upside. I think she has finish upside. But I will be sprinkling some Hardy. I think nobody's going to play Hardy at 6,800. And like I said, if she comes back, makes any type of improvements over the 3 years, we could see a much different fight than a lot of people are expecting. So I'm going to have a ton of Miller, though. I think she has a ton of upside. But in terms of like a dart throw, I don't think Veronica Hardy is the worst dart throw in the world. I mean, we saw JJ Aldrich go out there last week at 9,400, I think it was, and just forget how to fight, So you never know. Maybe Miller will go out there and just forget how to fight. It can happen. It definitely can happen. Where's your March Madness bracket? Yeah, I did a couple brackets, entered a couple competitions, and not having the worst start in the world. I mean, there's been some upsets, but I'm doing solid so far. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Ver. This is my first leg of my method of submission parlay. I like it. I think this fight probably does end by sub. You have nothing on this fight. Yeah, nothing's wrong with that at all, really. That ring rust will kick in about 1 second after the bell rings. Yeah, there very well could be ring rust. That is for sure. She has underrated BJJ out of Factory MMA, but no bets on this one. Spam WMMA underdogs. Boys, yeah, if you did that last week, you came out and got a big dog last week with Ariana Lipsky. I mean, she was a massive dog. Hardy is a mystery box, and Miller has huge holes. Yep. I mean, that's why I am staying far, far away from this money line. But I am hoping for a finish here. Miller's going to be low owned. Nobody wants to pay 9,400. I want to pay 9,400 for her. I will be having a fair share of Miller. She's one of my favorite options up in that 9K range. Like, I like her more than Makhachev and Shore, who are more expensive than her. So I'll have Miller. So I hope she's low owned. All right, moving on. We have Ludovic Klein going against Jai Herbert. And yeah, nothing on this fight. It's one of those fights where it feels like I should be betting violence on this one. And I'm not, just because I could see a scenario where, Herbert, his last time out against Kyle Nelson, just went out there and didn't want to fight at all. He didn't want to fight with Kyle Nelson. And that was because he's been getting knocked out. He got knocked out by Taporia, got knocked out by Trinaldo. He can't go out there and, be so reckless and get caught again. So he went out there against Kyle Nelson and literally did nothing. He was able to win the fight, but did nothing doing it. So that's a concern. And on the Ludovic Klein side, Klein can be low volume at times as well. So it's one of those fights where on paper, you look at all the stats, you look at the matchup, it screams violence, but I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that this potentially could go the full 15. I'm going to say Ludovic Klein does knock out Jai Herbert. I think Jai Herbert's chin is a serious problem. I think his striking defense, even more so, at 42% is a problem. So I'm going to say Klein does knock him out here, but I could also see a scenario where Klein is able to mix in takedowns, take down Jai Herbert, who has like a 50% takedown defense, and just win minutes on the mat as well. So it's one where I'm going to stay away from. If anything, it would probably be violence or pass. I wouldn't have mind like Klein at the earlier number, but money's been pouring in on Klein all week. Like, I wouldn't have mind Klein. Where did he open up? Like minus 160-ish. I wouldn't have minded that. Minus 170. I wouldn't have minded that. But now like minus 200, minus 210. I'm okay on that. So it's gonna be a pass fight for me. But the pick is going to be Klein. On DraftKings, I'll have some Klein here, 8,400. Just due to the fact that I think he has that knockout upside. I think he has that takedown upside. So on DraftKings, I'll have Klein. But from a betting perspective, nothing I could really get to. Fight doesn't go now minus 210. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass on this one. I feel like this one could be potentially boring just with like their styles. But on the flip side, it could be exciting. It's so weird. Like, I could see this playing out a couple different ways. So I'm just gonna pass on this one. But the pick is going to be Klein for the knockout win, I'll say. Sam Pierce with the $4.99. Appreciate you, Sam. He's saying thoughts on Filio for GPP on DK. Makhachev keeps mentioning his bad shoulder and decided to fight instead of getting surgery. That is true. Yeah, I keep seeing him mentioning it, which is kind of weird, but he keeps talking about it. Yes, I do actually have more Filio than Makhachev on DK just due to the pricing. Makhachev's 9,700, which I think this is like the third fighter to ever be 9,700. And then Filio is like 6,500. So I didn't go crazy on it, but I think I have around I don't know, 10 to 15% Filio just because he's super cheap, and that shoulder injury is something to definitely mention. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. Appreciate the dono, Sam. Probaholic saying I got on Klein, I think you're saying, early at minus 155. The leg kick's going to be a huge problem for Jai. Klein will land a liver kick TKO because Jai leaves his body open so much in the southpaw stance. I could see it. I'm going Klein by KO. Think he will be hungry. I think both guys are hungry, but yeah, I do like Klein myself. 16 of 19 of Klein fights have ended inside the distance. That is true, and a lot of Herbert fights have as well. Filio decision, no bet is worth a sprinkle. He does overestimate himself at 22 and rush to make the 0-2 card. Yeah, it could be depending on the line. I'm not sure what the line is, though. But wouldn't bet it. Yeah, I'm not betting it now at this point, but earlier numbers, I would not have minded. We got Patrick addicted to combat saying, "What's up, Brady? One more sleep, brother. Yeah, can't wait for it. Early card tomorrow. Hopefully get a good amount of sleep tonight, and then enjoy the card. We got a 15 fight card, which they're always so long, but yeah, can't wait for it. Who has the best shot, Gaethje or Edwards? It's probably close. I think they both have a shot. I don't know. I lean more towards. I don't even know. It's pretty close for me. I think they're both kind of live. I'll say Edwards has a better shot. Jose, what's up, Brady? Why is Gaethje getting no respect? I thought I'd be picking Gaethje, but after looking into the fight, I'm going Fizia, but I'm not betting him at that price tag. Why is he getting no respect? I don't know. I think people are very high on Fiziev. He's a younger fighter. He's been looking very good, and Gaethje coming off a loss. So I think people might be a little bit low on Gaethje right now at this point, but Gaethje's somebody that should never, ever, ever be counted out. That's for sure. All right, guys, we'll keep it moving. We have Joanne Wood going against Luana Carolina. We got Joanne Wood as, what is she now? Like minus 170. Luana Carolina plus 145. And yeah, I mean, the old me would be betting Joanne Wood here for sure. I would be very high and confident on Joanne Wood, and I'd probably be putting about 2 units on her here. But I've learned from my mistakes, the past couple of years, and this is one I'm just going to pass on. I mean, Joanne Wood should absolutely win this fight. It shouldn't really be that competitive. She's taken a massive step down in competition, to say the least, going from Tyler Santos and Alexa Grasso to Luana Carolina. The reason I can't get there is because I just really question where Joanne Wood's head's at. I think this is potentially her retirement fight. Actually kind of shocked she's fighting here. I thought she was going to retire after, I think it was the Santos fight, and then she didn't. And then I thought she was going to retire after the Grasso fight, and then apparently she didn't. So this is probably going to be her retirement fight. And yeah, I think they're trying to give her a win on her way out because they're giving her Luana Carolina. It's just, Wood just looks like she doesn't want to be in there as of late, and that scares me. So there could be a situation where, like JJ Aldrich last week, like JJ Aldrich looked like she didn't want to be there last week. Joanne Wood, I really question her motivation at this point. And if she shows up not wanting to be there, Luana Carolina could make this competitive. It could go to decision. I think it does go to decision, and you never know. So, I mean, I'm passing on it. Wood should win this fight, but I don't know. It's hard to be extremely confident in Joanne Wood at this point of her career, even though she's taking like just a gigantic step down in competition. For DraftKings, though, I don't hate some Wood at 8,600. If this was like a 12-fight card, I'd be a lot higher on her here. But since this is a 15-fight card, a lot of these fights are expected to end inside the distance. I don't have as much Wood as I usually would, but, she's a good scorer. I think she could hit, 90 points, 95 in a win potentially, just because her volume's insane. See, I don't hate Wood on DraftKings, but I think there's a lot better options around her, to the point where I'm not crazy about Wood this week on DraftKings. And as far as Carolina, I'm okay on that. I think there's better dogs to attack on the slate. So yeah, not a fight on the card I'm all that interested in, but I think Wood should get it done. Kind of like Carolina here, honestly. I'm not sure why, outside of Wood just seems uninterested in this point. Is Justin Gaethje a bum? No, sir. No, sir, he is not. Brady, I've been following you for about a month now, and your picks are a lot more correct than incorrect. I tried to tell you about Merab, though. Yeah, a bunch of people tried telling me about Merab. Was very confident, Jan, but sometimes Sometimes it happens. So good call there. 1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah, borderline. 1-800-GAMBLER for sure. This fight stinks. I mean, I think it could be an okay fight. Wood is old and look tired. I will never bet on Carolina. Yeah, I think it's best just not bet on any of them. Sam saying no, he's not a bum. He just doesn't do well against technical strikers. He gets caught with his pressure and brawling style. Thoughts on Ashmo's looking like Patterson's little brother? Yeah, Patterson's like 6'3" at 155 pounds. It's wild. Yeah, he's gonna have a massive on paper. It said like 6 inches. Looked like 8 inches, and I figured it was going to be more than that. And then he has like a 10-inch reach advantage as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough fight for Ashman's, I think. Wood fight is a 100-GAMBLERs. Yeah, I think borderline. I feel like people are sleeping on Delidze. I don't think so. I see a lot of people on Delidze. Brady, I found out Hadley's nickname is White Kong. Remember the last time we bet on someone nicknamed Kong? It was Lord Kong Dontel Mays faded the Kong. I never bet on Dontel Mays, but I know a lot of people did against Sakai. But I don't know. I'll be betting on White Kong this week for sure. Very glad I decided to pass here. I think passing is probably the best route here. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. We have, speaking of White Kong, Jake Hadley going against Malcolm Gordon. And this is my highest exposed fight on the card. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah. So I have Jake Hadley in a parlay, a 2.5 unit parlay. I'll talk about the other leg. I'll say the other leg right now, actually. So my parlay is 2.5 units on Jake Hadley, parlayed with the Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards over 1.5, and that came out to -184 on Bet365. So on Bet365, they actually brought that over number down. I think they have it like -475 to the over for Usman Edwards, and everywhere else it's like 650 to like 800. So if you have Bet365, I think the over 1.5 on that book's a very good parlay piece. And then Hadley was able to parlay him at -350 there. So yeah, I like Hadley a lot, and I like that over a lot. But Hadley in this matchup, I just think he's going to have multiple ways to win, whether that is knocking out Malcolm Gordon, whether that's submitting Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon, pound for pound, has probably some of the worst durability you'll see in the UFC. 6 losses, all 6 coming inside the distance, 4 by knockout and 2 by submission. He's a black belt in BJJ, but I question his submission defense as he's been submitted twice in the UFC. So yeah, I think Hadley can get a sub here, but I also think Hadley's probably more live for that knockout, just because Malcolm Gordon can't take a shot. Like even outside the UFC, I mean, he's wobbling all over the place. In every single fight you watch of Malcolm Gordon, he's getting hurt, at least once. And that's kind of why I think he's changing up his style a little bit. Like against Bad Figgy, he went out there and shot a takedown within the first 2 seconds. That's because he can't take a shot. He really can't. He missed weight today. He missed weight by I think 2 or 2.5, 3 pounds, something like that, which is not a great look there. But yeah, I think Hadley probably finishes him here I think it's probably early as well. So I have Hadley in that parlay, 2.5 units. And then I also added 1.5 units on Jake Hadley inside the distance on DraftKings Sportsbook. They have it -135 for some reason. And everywhere else is like -190 on BetOnline. So if you have DraftKings, they have that Hadley inside the distance at -135. So I have 4 units total riding on Jake Hadley. Not only is it a fade on Malcolm Gordon's durability, but I also really like Hadley. I think Hadley's striking looked better than ever in his last fight. I think Hadley's going to be the better wrestler here. Hadley, Gordon has a 8% takedown defense. 8% takedown defense. I mean, Gordon's stats are just atrocious. Like, I don't even know how the dude has won 2 fights in the UFC. I don't know how. He lands 1.9 strikes per minute. He has a 41% striking defense. So not only does he have no chin, he has no striking defense. He has only a 30% takedown accuracy, a 9% takedown defense. I mean, I don't know. How does Gordon win this fight? I don't know. So yeah, I like Hadley to win. Pretty confident in him. He did drop the ball against Nascimento, but the difference between Nascimento and Gordon is Nascimento next level durable, never been finished in like 20 plus fights. Whereas Gordon, all he does is get finished. So I like Hadley here quite a bit. And my night comes down to him. On DraftKings, I will have a fair amount of Hadley as well. 9,300, takedown upside, finish upside. If he does not finish Malcolm Gordon, he should be ashamed of himself. I mean, the UFC is literally trying to build up Hadley here with Gordon, and the UFC clearly hates Malcolm Gordon, I think. I mean, giving Malcolm Gordon to Makhachev last time out, and then now giving Malcolm Gordon to Hadley. Yeah, poor Malcolm Gordon. I mean, this is another tough matchup, but he's had tough matchups throughout the UFC. It just seems like they keep trying to build this guy up. Give him to Makhachev, give him to Hadley, give him to Albazi, give him to Bad Figgy. They're just trying to build other people up off of Malcolm Gordon and get them a finish win, and I think that's kind of what's happening here. Delidze is the lock of the week. Yep, I like to hear that. I am going the other way, but a lot of people are on Delidze this week, that's for sure. Hadley inside the distance. I like it. Probaholic saying have Hadley inside the distance, minus 135 for 1.01 units. Honestly, like the round 1 KO on Bet Rivers plus 500. I like both there. Gordon missed weight now to catch weight. I didn't hear anything about a catch weight, but he did miss weight. Hadley should finish this. Something is wrong with Gordon. I think there's a couple things wrong with Gordon. Mostly that durability. Flyweight fights are 7-0 to the under in 2023. Are you serious? 5 are first round finishes. That's wild. Goodness. Well, that's a good stat to know. Well, hopefully the freaking trend continues here. Weight miss should help Malcolm be more durable, right? Potentially. What are your thoughts on Gordon not cutting the last 3 pounds? I think he might be sick or hurt or maybe trying to gain an unfair advantage. I'm not sure. We got LJ High Brady missed last week, and yeah, I've seen some bet at 365 lines have been off this card. Yeah, there's a couple ones that stuck out. If Gordon missed weight by 3 pounds, I think he'll be a first rounder bust. Something went wrong with his weight cut or camp. Conditioning will not be great. Yeah, and his conditioning's not great in general, to be honest. Yeah, Nascimento's good. Nascimento's very good. Absolutely. Are you worried about Shore's chin at all? Not against Makwan, I'm not. Not against Makwan, I'm not. But going forward, potentially. But I think him coming up a weight class should help him with the chin. I mean, I think his chin's fine. I think he just got caught in his last fight. All right. Moving on. We have a really good fight. Love this fight. Christian Leroy Duncan going against Dusko Todorovich. But a fight I don't have a bet on. Nothing's really sticking out here. I mean, the fight doesn't go to decision is minus 400. So they're all over it and then some. And honestly, I feel like this line is getting a little bit wild at this point. I feel like Dusko's getting a little bit counted out, but I'm just not a fan of Dusko at all. I'm not a fan of his striking defense. I'm not a fan of his wrestling. The guy has a really good ground game. He's a black belt in BJJ. Obviously, great ground and pound. When he gets on top, he's a problem. But on the feet, he's high volume. That's great. It's just his strike defense scares me. His chin scares me. And then he's going against Leroy Duncan, who has a ton of power and a ton of finishing ability on the feet. So I feel like Dusko could have some success here, win some minutes. If he gets a takedown, absolutely he can win some minutes and have some success. It's just I don't trust Dusko's wrestling whatsoever. And Duncan, he is getting taken down a lot outside the UFC, but he's able to work his way back up, work his way back into the fight, and eventually get that finish. And I kind of see that happening here. I think Dusko maybe has some success early, and maybe I'll even look at it from like a live bet situation where maybe Dusko has success early. I just think it's, at some point Duncan is going to touch the chin of Todorovich here. But yeah, nothing sticking out from a betting perspective. I thought maybe like Duncan by KO could be something to look at, but it's only like plus 110, something like that. It's going to be a pass for me, but I do think Duncan probably knocks him out. From a DraftKings perspective, I don't mind either side here. I mean, it's a minus 400 fight, doesn't go to decision line. You probably get to target some of both sides. I don't think many people are going to have Dusko this week, so I don't hate Dusko as a dog. Like if he does get his wrestling going, he could very well win this fight. And then as far as Christian Leroy Duncan, I think you got to have some of him as well, because I think that knockout is very likely with how hittable Dusko is. But yeah, it should be an interesting fight. I wouldn't be laying minus 220 on Christian Leroy Duncan, though. We've seen it time and time again. These newcomers, they make their debut and they look off. I mean, we've seen it a lot. And so just another reason I wouldn't lay minus 220 on him in general. And I think Dusko, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but I think he's getting a little bit counted out. I mean, he's not a terrible fighter. It's just he has a terrible striking defense and a questionable chin. Leroy Duncan is on one of my parlays. The guy is very unpredictable and crafty. Yeah, I love the guy striking. Very, very good striker. Leroy Duncan is a real prospect. KO2. Dusko's Lego head plus a 30% takedown accuracy. Yep, I think the KO is right there for the taking. Nothing for me, but I do like Duncan decision only minus 105. Yeah, kind of an interesting line considering he's a big favorite, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's pretty solid. I was impressed with Leroy Duncan. I think he definitely is the better of the two Duncans that are on this card. That's for sure. All right, moving on to my favorite fight on the prelims. And if Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev was not on the card, this would be my pick for fight of the night. But I think it's already set that the co-main event will be the fight of the night. But no, this fight's really good. Lerone Murphy, Gabriel Santos. We have Lerone Murphy is now, what is he, like minus 180? Santos around plus 150, plus 145. So yeah, DraftKings Sportsbook opened up Lerone Murphy at minus 135. I know a lot of people that hopped on that, including me. I hopped on it fully intending to arb out, and I was going to maybe let it ride. But after looking into the fight, I did choose to arb out, get my free money, my free 0.11 units. So didn't want any action on the money line here. There was a spot that I like better, and I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, after taping Santos, I was very impressed with him. I was very impressed with Santos. The guy's still very young. He's champion in LFA. Really good grappler, brown belt in BJJ. But on the feet, he's dangerous as well. He's knocked out his last couple opponents, which is nice. He brings a war, like a brawling style that I love, and I think that's why this fight's going to be so fun. The reason I can't pick Santos, though, is a couple of reasons. The first reason, he's taking this fight on short notice. I don't like that. The second reason, he's traveling all the way from Brazil to London. I don't like that. And then the third reason, I still think he's a little bit green. Very, very hittable on the feet. No striking defense. He relies on his chin, and that's not worked out for him a lot. He's been dropped a ton. I will say he does have that dog in him. He will get knocked down. He'll get right back up. But the striking defense is a serious issue, especially in this matchup against Lerone Murphy, who hits very, very hard. Another reason I did choose to arb out was because Murphy's defensive wrestling is kind of questionable. I think on paper he has like a 30-something% takedown defense. Yeah, 36% takedown defense. Like if Santos gets this fight down to the mat, there could be problems. Like there really could be. Santos brown belt and BJJ. Murphy's a solid grappler. I believe he's either a blue belt or a purple belt. But yeah, if Santos can get on top, like Mac Wan was, what's his face was, I think to Zabar Tahugov was. He could cause some problems, but Santos doesn't have the best wrestling. So I think these guys are going to stand and bang. And at that point, I think Murphy's more defensively sound. I think Murphy has a lot of power, and I think he knocks out Gabriel Santos. So the way I'm playing this is I do have one unit on the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 105. Got that earlier in the week, and it's actually plus 108 on FanDuel. So I'm not sure if I'm going to add on, but I might add on like another half unit onto that violence spot because I know neither guy's ever been finished, but we have seen Murphy knocked down before by Tahugov, and then we have seen Santos knocked out a handful of times as well, or knocked down a handful of times. So I think Murphy gets a knockout. And then I also put a quarter unit on the Murphy knockout prop on BetOnline Sportsbook at plus 400, quarter unit to win one. And on FanDuel, that's still plus 340, which I think is a solid look as well. So give me Murphy by knockout. I have a unit on the fight doesn't go, and then a quarter unit on that Murphy by knockout. But I don't want to fully count out Santos here. I think Santos is the real deal. I think he's somebody to look out for going forward, but this is a matchup where I just can't pick him with a lot of things going against him. But yeah, I think Santos has a pretty high ceiling in the UFC. I was very, very impressed with what I saw from him. Santos is a beast. Yeah, I agree. I think both these guys are very good. There's a reason this line is somewhat close. Murphy's the more tested guy. He's been in the UFC. He has a lot of hype on him. People love Murphy. There's a reason that he's only minus 170. Santos is no joke. The stare down was intense. I got Murphy at minus 135. I think he catches Santos here, but Santos sub prop is live. Yeah, if Santos gets the fight down to the mat, he's a very, very good grappler. It's just he doesn't have the best wrestling to get it there. And yes, Lerone is definitely a tough opponent, especially on short notice. How was Santos' level of competition so far? It wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible competition. It's not like he was going out there fighting bums on the Alaskan fight scene like a Jordan Wright or something. It's been decent. Someone's O has to go. That is for sure. Murphy needs to be more active. He's a fun fighter too. Need to see more of him. Yeah, I heard he got like hit by a car or something. Apparently got hit by a car. So he's not fought in a while. So I don't know. We got Sam with a dono, 199 saying Hadley or Shore for DK. Who scores more? Give me Hadley. Give me Hadley. I think Hadley has more early finish upside, whereas Shore, I think it's going to take him a while to get Mac 1 out of there. So give me Hadley, and he's also cheaper also. And Mac 1 is a lot more durable than Gordon. I'll say that as well. Appreciate you, Sam. All right. We'll keep moving on. We have Muhammad Makhachev going against Jafel Filio. And yeah, we talked about this fight a little bit. I'm not betting on this fight. Nothing's really sticking out in this fight. I mean, what are you going to do with a minus like 800 favorite in Makhachev? No props are sticking out because I could see a Makhachev sub. I could see a Makhachev decision. So not touching it from a prop perspective. Looks like money's still coming in on Makhachev. He's now minus 850 on BetOnline. He was 800. I see a minus 1,000 out there. And it's just not something you probably want to do, considering, you know, the shoulder injury rumors, which doesn't really seem like a rumor because he keeps confirming it throughout the week. I mean, he keeps talking about it every single podcast he's on. He has a shoulder injury. He's putting off surgery to fight in this fight. And that's scary, especially when you're laying minus 850 to minus 1,000, which you probably shouldn't ever be doing in the first place anyway. So yeah, nothing here. I mean, if anything on DraftKings, I'll take some shots on Filio at 6,500, just in case, you know, that shoulder, causes a problem for Makhachev in the fight. So other than that, I don't want to touch it. Like, I'm not laying minus 180 for that fight doesn't go to decision. Although Sean brought up a very interesting stat in terms of those flyweight unders being 7-0. But minus 180, I'm okay on that. The pick is obviously Makhachev, but just don't really see any way to attack this. I thought about maybe like the fight ends by submission, but Filio, he's a good grappler. I think he could survive 15 minutes here. So it's going to be a pass for me. Give me Makhachev for the dub, though. Put a sprinkle on Filio. Yeah, it's dog or pass to this price tag, but it's a pass for me. I think Filio's decent. Like, I was expecting Filio to be some bum because you see the price tag and you expect Filio to be a complete bum, but no, he's solid. He's a decent fighter. It's just Makhachev. If Makhachev is going in there and he's like close to 100%, I mean, he should win this fight. He should win it pretty cleanly as well. But the shoulder injury is giving me some pause there. Did I see Justin on the scales? Yeah, I saw him like earlier in the morning. Nothing really stuck out. The only thing that really stuck out was who was it? Yeah, Justin did look a little bit off though. Malcolm Gordon looked pretty bad at the scales. There was another person as well. When we talk about the fight, maybe it'll stick out. But yeah, other than that, most people look good today. Between Herbert and Gordon, who will come out as the best knocked out? Never heard that before. Best knocked out artist. It's Malcolm Gordon, but Herbert, it could be a close second. Jason Witt was up there in conversation, but I think Jason Witt unfortunately got cut. Jason Witt's been finished, I think, 9 times at this point. Tend to think this is a UFC London with a decent amount of decisions that will never compare to the first London 2 years ago. That is true. Last London was disappointing, man. Last London, we had Paul Craig go the distance for the first time. I mean, that was bad. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as last London, but and yeah, you're right. Nothing's going to compare to that first London card a couple of years ago. I can agree with that. But yeah, a lot of these fights are expected to end inside the distance. I think I'm picking, 9 or 10 finishes out of 15. If Usman loses, do you think he retires? That's a tough question. I think potentially, yeah. Potentially. But if he wins, I don't think he's retiring. But if he loses, yeah, I mean, I could see it. Could definitely see it. We got 302 in the building. What's up, homie? Let's get after it. Great fight lineup, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for it. Cannot wait for this card. Yep, it feels like 90% of these fights this week are just setup fights to build these guys up. Like, I feel like Hadley's getting set up for a win and a finish win. I feel like Joanne Wood's getting set up for a very easy win. I feel like Juliana Miller's getting set up for a win. Muhammad Makhachev, getting set up. I feel like Sam Patterson's getting set up for a win. Jack Shore. Um, that's about it. But yeah, there's a lot of matches where they're just setting them up for success here, it feels like. All right. So let us keep moving on. We have Sam Patterson going against Yanal Ashmos. We got Patterson as a very big favorite. And yeah, I was not impressed with Patterson that much, to be honest. Like, this is a guy that I'm going to fade going forward. And a lot of people are even trying to fade him this week. I think his striking defense is atrocious. I think his takedown defense is very bad. I think he's a minute loser. But what he does have, and what really did impress me, was that grappling. I mean, this guy's a very opportunistic finisher, very good submission game as well. Yeah, the grappling impressed me more than anything. But yeah, I think there's some serious holes in this guy's game. Obviously, he's going to be much bigger in this matchup, though. We saw it at the weigh-ins. He's got to be, it says 6 inches taller. I'm thinking more so like 7 or 8 inches taller than this dude. Patterson's going to be much, much bigger, like a 10-inch reach advantage, maybe more. Just going to be much, much bigger than Ashmos, I wasn't impressed with Ashmos as well. He's not really fought the best competition at all, like very poor competition. But he can throw with some power. He can wrestle a bit, but it just seems like he doesn't have a great path there. I mean, yes, he could maybe knock out Patterson, who's very hittable. But I mean, 10-inch reach disadvantage. I think that he's going to struggle to close range there. And then, yeah, he can probably wrestle Patterson a tad, but do you really want to mess around on the ground with Patterson, who's very dangerous? I don't know. So it's just hard for me to find a path to victory for Ashmos. Actually kind of a popular dog this week. And I think that's more so trying to fade Sam Patterson. I think the time to fade him is going to come soon, but I'm just not sure it's this matchup. I like Patterson to eventually catch Ashmos in something, whether it's maybe landing a big shot or just snatching up a neck here. I like Patterson by sub. They had Patterson by sub on BetOnline, opening up like plus 400. Wish I could have got on that. Now at this point, it's like plus 225, so it's not really as enticing. But I think Patterson by subs the most likely scenario here. I do have a bet on the under 2.5 rounds. I got it at minus 130. That line made no sense at the time because the fight doesn't go as like minus 240 at the time. The under was minus 130, and even now, like the under 2.5 is around minus 150. I think the under's probably the way to go, or like Patterson inside the distance is the way to go. But I'd probably opt for that under, considering Patterson inside the distance like minus 110, minus 105. So give me the under 2.5 rounds. I think Patterson catches him in a sub. But with the holes in Patterson's game, I don't mind, the under to kind of cover both sides. He is very hittable. He has that tall man's defense, and maybe Ashmos can land something, but I doubt it. Patterson by sub for me. From a Draftkings perspective, I don't hate Patterson at 9K. I think there's better options, but I think he does have that finish and submission upside. Ashmos at 7,200. I do have some interest because of the price tag, and if he does win, he's probably going to wrestle. Maybe even get a knockout win just because Patterson is so hittable. But I think wrestling is a path that's definitely on the table here for Ashmos. And if he's able to survive on the ground with Patterson, fight out of those positions, maybe Ashmos can win this fight. And at 7,200, I think he can score well. There's like not a ton of dogs I like this week from a DraftKings perspective. So Ashmos, I don't think is like the worst punt option in the world. Patterson is big. Yes, very big. Ashmov has fought mostly taller fighters. That's because he's like 5'5". Everybody's going to be taller than him. I can assure you, though, that Ashmov's not fought a 6'3" lightweight. That's for sure. Highest scoring fighter between 9,000 and 8,500. Let's take a look. So, man, that's a tough one because I like Casey O'Neill to score a ton. I think Usman scores a ton in a win. Yeah, it's got to be. Give me Kamaru Usman. Like, if Usman wins this fight, he's going to score a ton. I think he has the highest ceiling on the card. Yep, I'll go Usman, but Casey O'Neill is a very close second. Appreciate the dono, Sam. I advise people not to parlay Sam unless you like to live life on the edge. I agree. I would not parlay this guy. I would not parlay Sam. Leaning ONeill, yeah, I think it's really close between ONeill and Usman there. If they both win, I think I probably lean Usman because of that 5 rounds, but ONeill can put up some serious volume even in 3 rounds. You work another job, Brady, or full-time MMA? I am full-time MMA content. Longest shot on the board with a decent chance to win. Are you talking a prop or a money line? Money line, I don't know. I think so. Longest money line, I don't know, like Makwan and Marikani. Like if he wins round 1 sub plus like 1800, that could be a long shot. Like I think that's his path to victory. So that one kind of sticks out a little bit. We'll talk about that fight soon. Other than that, I mean, Veronica Hardy, like if she's made improvements over the last 3 years, Hardy could be a live dog, but we don't know if she's made those improvements or not. But yeah, there's a couple long shots that stick out. Longest shot I reckon is 7-1. Leon fight. Either fighter gets a point deducted. There you go. Lubecha calls that the yam bags. I think it's like 20-1 on DraftKings. I could see it. Please show fighters with lowest ownership projections. I can pull them up right now. Off the top of my head, I think obviously Malcolm Gordon is going to be very low owned. I think that even like Filio, like everybody down there, I think is going to be very low. And besides Delidze, Delidze is going to have some serious ownership. Leon Edwards is going to have some serious ownership. But some other fighters that will have low ownership, let's see. So up top, I think Marvin Vettori is going to be semi-low owned. I think that Joanne Wood is going to be semi-low owned. And down low, I think Jennifer Maya, Luana Carolina, all those have low ownership. And let's see what else we got here. Obviously, Filio, very low ownership. Veronica Hardy, very, very low ownership. Malcolm Gordon, very low ownership. Makwan will have some around 10 to 15%. Barbara Reina will have some. So yeah, I mean, it's always those fighters that aren't expected to win, that kind of come out like Lipsky last week. Nobody played Lipsky last week and she won. Although, even though she didn't really score well, but still. Any thoughts on Justin's weigh-in? I got to go watch it. From what I remember, he looked normal to me, but maybe I missed something. I kind of like rushed through him this morning. I like to watch him live, but they did him at like 4 a.m. Eastern time, and I was sleeping for that. Agreed. If he can avoid those subs, he could win. He could win, but that's kind of a big if. Maybe a decision only for Osmos. Hey Brady, what should my fight end in a draw pick be this week? Obviously, like the Wood Carolina could be a freaking draw just because both fighters are so bad. Maybe like I don't know. Nothing really sticking out, man. I think a lot of these fights finish like ONeill Maya, maybe. And there's some of these where I think if they do go the distance, they could be a draw, like Klein Herbert, maybe, but I don't know. No draws really sticking out. Typically, there are like 1 or 2 that do stick out. Patterson and Ajmo's combined fights have ended 16 of 18 inside the distance, and that is why I'm on that under. Sup, Brady, great stream as usual. Any spots you like for FanDuel's 50% profit boost? Do they have a 50% profit boost for real? Is it on just UFC or all sports? And is it like a parlay? I gotta check that out. I don't know, man. There's a lot of spots sticking out. My favorite spot is probably like Hadley. Maybe Hadley inside the distance, but I'm not sure FanDuel has a great price on that, so it probably wouldn't be worth it. But yeah, I'll have to look into it. All right, let's keep moving on. Before we do so, if you guys can, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live at 12 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, 1 hour prior to the prelims. We got Billy Briz, we got Narco Cop, and we have Gordo Gambles as well. Should be a very fun show tomorrow. All right, next we have Omar Morales going against Chris Duncan. And yeah, this is probably like the 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. I think both these guys are pretty bad, to be honest. Like, Omar Morales, he's 37 years old at this point, at lightweight, one of these lower weight classes. He's fought at featherweight a lot of his career, and he just doesn't do anything at all. He's very low volume. He has a black belt in BJJ, just refuses to use it. I'm not a big fan of the guy. He's shown power outside the UFC, but inside the UFC, that power is just not translated. Only one knockdown, and it was against Dong Hung Ma, who everybody knocks out. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Morales. And then you look at Chris Duncan, and he has the worst striking defense you'll ever see in your life. I mean, this is worse than like Priscilla Cachoeira striking defense. I mean, it's bad. And what's even worse is, he's having the striking defense at lightweight, and these lightweights hit hard. So going forward, I don't really see Chris Duncan lasting too long in the UFC unless he fixes up that striking defense. But man, it's bad. Hands are completely low. He eats punches with his face. He relies on the chin, and he has a good chin, but your chin can only take so much damage. And when you're not blocking any punches at all, I mean, you're going to get knocked down. And he's been knocked down, more than I can count. I mean, he gets knocked down all the time. So that's terrifying. I don't know. It's a sketchy fight. I like the fight doesn't go to decision. I think somebody's going to get knocked out here just with the style of Chris Duncan brings. He's going to come forward with reckless abandon. He is going to have no regards for his own safety. He's going to try to take off the head of Omar Morales, and he's going to have opportunities to do that. Morales has been finishing his last 2 losses, and Duncan, he's so hittable that Morales could very well knock him out as well. So I think violence is absolutely the way to attack this. I would not be betting on a money line. I'm actually shocked at the love I see for Omar Morales. Like, a lot of people are on him, and weirdly, like, the line's going the other way in favor of Chris Duncan. It's now Chris Duncan who's the slight -121 favorite, and Morales is at dog money. I would not be confident either side here. I think having confidence in either side is kind of weird to me, just because both these guys are very, very bad in my opinion. I'm going to take Duncan for the win, though. I'm going to say knocks out Morales, but I think somebody's getting served here. I have the fight doesn't go to decision in a parlay. I will talk about the other parlay piece very shortly. And I also don't hate like a shot on like the under like 2.5, 1.5, just because I think this is going to be an absolute car crash from the very jump. What do we think about a Duncan parlay? I would not put this guy in your parlays. He's pretty bad. What do you think about Usman's nagging knee injury? Obviously something to mention every time he fights, but we've been mentioning it for like 3 years, it feels like, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not betting Usman this week, so I don't really look into it that much. If I fade Fiziev Gaethje, how much leverage will that give me on the field? I think it'll give you. I'm pulling up my ownership right now. It'll give you a bunch of leverage, just off the top of my head, just because it's the co-main event. Everybody knows who Justin Gaethje is, and seeing him as a dog, people are going to jump on him, right? And then Fiziev's the hot guy right now. Everybody loves Fiziev, so he's going to be high owned too. And it's the co-main event. It's the best fight on the card, right? So yeah, it's going to be very high owned. I think it'll give you probably like about 50% leverage, just about. Like, I think that fight's going to be very high owned as a whole. I think Gaethje's a very popular dog, and I think Fiziev's a pretty popular option in his own right. So, yeah, I think he'll get a lot of leverage fading that fight. And I don't hate fading it either. Like, if this fight does not end in the first round, there's going to be no takedowns. If this fight sees that second, yeah, I think this fight could potentially not find its way on the optimal lineup. But if Gaethje wins the fight, it's finding the way on the optimal lineup for sure. But, yeah, I don't hate a fade on the co-main event. Fiziev wins by decision, doesn't put up enough of a score. I think he knocks him out, but still, I'm still probably not going to have a lot of that fight on DK. Appreciate you, Dominic. Robert saying, already appreciate the content, only recently started betting, and you were the first that isn't delusional about the nature of MMA on here like I am with my British picks. So you mean like I'm not delusional as in like I don't say like this is a lock or this isn't like 100% outcome, type that type of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I try to be, anything can happen in MMA, right? Thoughts on the best two fighter moneyline parlay of the card. Call me crazy, but Justin and Usman sounds tasty. I wouldn't really parlay any dogs. Talking about Justin Gaethje, I don't know. I wouldn't parlay Justin Gaethje as a dog. I would play him straight. But Usman, I think's fine. I'm not parlaying him myself. I would pick Hadley and Marvin Vettori. Those are my favorite two. I know a lot of people like Delidze, but we'll talk about it. Okay, moving on. We got Jack Shore going against Makwan Amarikani. And I do have 3 bets here. So the first bet is the over 1.5 rounds at -125. The line has moved a tad. It's around -150. I still think it's playable, and here's why. If this fight does go under 1.5, it's because Makwan wins. Makwan is pretty much first round or bust. He's very good in the first round, but after that, he just falls off a cliff. So yeah, if you like the under, you probably like Makwan. And if you like Makwan, you bet him plus 1,800 by first round submission on DraftKings Sportsbook, which is, yeah, I mean, that's how he wins. I think first round submission. It's just, I don't really see it personally. I mean, I know that's how he wins, but I think he's going to really struggle to A, take down Shore and hold him down. And then B, I think he's going to struggle to submit Jack Shore, who's a very good grappler. So yeah, I think this fight does get extended, and I think Shore eventually is going to get him out of there. Makwan just slows down so much as the fight goes on. Shore has some power, has really good grappling. I like Shore to finish the fight in the second or third round. And I also did sprinkle some of the Shore round props on BetOnline. They opened them up like the worst round props you'll ever see. It was like round 2 was like plus 300, and then round 3 was like plus 400. Like, it was terrible. But on, I think, FanDuel, they have Shore round 2 plus 460, and then Shore round 3 plus 850, which is a little bit better. It's not too juicy, but I think Shore does finish this fight in that second or third round. So I have a quarter unit on Shore round 2, quarter unit on Shore round 3, and then 1.25 units on the over 1.5 rounds at -125. I think this fight does get extended with Shore getting a late finish. And if the under does not hit, it's probably because Makwan was able to find a sub. So, and I just don't know if I see that. From a DraftKings perspective, yeah, that's a big price tag for sure. I think I'd be more interested in Makwan just because if Makwan wins, he's breaking the slate. It's a first round sub. So yeah, I'm going to have some Makwan just due to the price tag, but I fully expect Shore to win this fight. But 9,500 is a lot for sure there. How do you feel about my ONeill? ONeill's coming off of a 1.5 years and has struggled with Roxanne. Yeah, we'll talk about that fight very soon. But yeah, I think this is a winnable fight for her. Yeah, I'm not sure why they brought Colby in. That was weird. All right, we'll keep moving on to the main card opener. Marvin Vettori going against Roman Delidze. And yeah, when I first started my research, I thought I'd be picking Roman Delidze. But after looking into the fight, it's like, I'm just not sure how he wins this fight. Like, is Roman Delidze going to knock out Marvin Vettori? I mean, probably not. Nobody's ever been able to do it. I've never even seen Vettori hurt. Like, I remember he ate like a flush head kick from Paulo Costa, like flush, and Vettori just smiled at him. So is he going to knock out Vettori? I doubt it. And then is he going to submit Vettori, who is a very good grappler in his own right? I think he's a brown belt. Again, I kind of doubt it. Vettori's never been subbed. So I was thinking about picking Delidze, and then it's like, how the heck does he win this fight outside of like some type of meme finish, like meme knockout or meme sub, like a toe hold or like a calf slicer. Like, so I don't know. A lot of people are picking Delidze. Then I'd be curious to hear you guys, like, what is Delidze's path to victory outside of like a toe hold or like a calf slicer or like something meme-ish. I feel like that's how Delidze wins. So yeah, I'm gonna take Vettori. If I get memed here again, that's fine. But I mean, it's a very bad matchup for Delidze. I know Delidze's awesome. Everybody loves him, but I don't know. I don't know how he gets this win because Vettori's gonna have the much better cardio. He's fought the much better competition. He's going to have like 3 times the volume on the feet. He's probably even the more durable guy. Both these guys are durable, but yeah, I just don't see the Delidze love. I really don't. But hey, you never know. Delidze is just one of those guys that he can lose to Trevin Giles, but he can get it done. So yeah, I'm on Marvin Vettori here. I did put him in a parlay. I have him parlayed up with that fight doesn't go to decision in the Omar Morales Chris Duncan fight that came out to plus 100, and I have 1 unit on that. That is my second parlay of the card. I have 2. So yeah, I think Vettori gets it done. But hey, if Delidze goes out there and gets a heel hook, then it is what it is. But yeah, I know a lot of people are on Delidze. From a DraftKings perspective, I'll be on Delidze as well. I don't like Vettori on DraftKings, but in terms of a betting perspective, I do like Vettori quite a bit. I got Delidze. Gary's saying lay and pray. I don't know who has lay and prayed on Marvin Vettori. I don't think anybody has. Delidze by rear naked choke. Vettori won't tap and go to sleep. Delidze by sub all day. Marvin is the worst striker in MMA. I don't know about that, man. Vettori's chin can't last forever, and Roman's ground game is scary. What's good, Ace? How you doing? Delidze will hang on the feet. As soon as it hits the floor, it's over. Vettori's going to do what Vettori does, and that's win 90% of his fights. He only loses to the best, like Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. This fight will probably go the distance. Delidze does enough to score a good amount on DK. I don't know, man. I think if this goes the distance, Delidze just doesn't do anything. I mean, he has probably the worst volume on the card. Delidze lands only 2.62 strikes per minute. That's horrible, man. I don't know, but if Delidze wins, I think it's by a finish though. If Roman wins, I'm gonna be pissed. I've missed him as an underdog 3 times now already, but Marvin should get it done. Yeah, he keeps coming through as an underdog, and people really like guys that come through. But I don't know about this matchup. I don't know. Seems like a tough matchup, but we'll see. A lot of people on Delidze. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I just don't see it personally. I wanted to pick Delidze. I really did. I like him a lot. I'm not a big fan of Vettori, but just stylistically, how the heck does he win this fight? I don't know. All right, Casey O'Neill going against Jennifer Maia. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Casey O'Neill. A lot of people really love her. I don't think she's amazing, but I think stylistically this is a winnable fight. The frustrating thing with Jennifer Maia has always been that she's a very good BJJ black belt. Love the grappling of Maia. It's just she doesn't go for takedowns ever. I think she has maybe 2 or 3 takedowns in the UFC. And hey, if she went for takedowns here, I think she has a very good chance of winning, honestly. If she gets a takedown, she could probably control Neil for a round. And you would think, Maia would catch on by now. Hey, maybe I should go for takedowns, use that grappling a little bit. But no, she wants to go out there and strike. And she's not a bad striker, but man, her grappling is probably the best part of her game, and she doesn't even use it. So in this matchup specifically, if she doesn't, take O'Neill down to the mat, on the feet, it's probably somewhat competitive. But man, it's going to be hard for Maia to compete with the volume of Casey O'Neill. O'Neill, the best volume on the slate thus far. I know it's only been a couple fights, but O'Neill landing 8.65 significant strikes per minute. That's very, very impressive. And she's going to be able to out volume Maia across 3 rounds. I think if anybody gets takedowns in this fight, it's probably O'Neill too, just because Maia refuses to go for takedowns. So yeah, I mean, it's got to be O'Neill. Obviously, I'm not betting it. What is she, minus 170? Minus 180 now. I'm okay. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of O'Neill. What I do love her on, though, is DraftKings. 8,500 for Casey O'Neill. Just because if she wins, expect a ton of volume. She went out there and put up over 200 significant strikes against Roxy. This is definitely a harder matchup than Roxy, but still, Casey O'Neill, great volume. I believe she's made the optimal lineup in all 3 or 4 of her UFC fights thus far. So yeah, she's kind of a DraftKings monster. And 8,500, I will have a ton of Casey O'Neill. If she wins this fight, she's probably going to be on the optimal lineup. We're kind of be shocked if she didn't at this price tag, just because if she wins, she has a ton of upside. So yeah, I love Casey on DraftKings, but from a betting perspective, no, I'm all right. If anything, it's honestly probably dog or pass. But I'm done betting on Maia thinking she's going to grapple, because she doesn't. All right. Let's see what you guys got going in the chat here. Hadley, Shore, and Nelson. Who do you have the most confidence on? Hadley, 1, Shore, 2, and Nelson, 3. I think in that order. Let's see here. All right. Marvin's wins are not that great. What's Marvin's best win? Marvin's best win is probably either Paulo Costa or Jack Hermanson. But I mean, you could say the same thing for Delizzi. Delizzi's best win is Jack Hermanson as well. But other than that, it's Phil Hawes, Kyle Dawkins, Lariana Staropoli, John Alon, and Kadis Ibrahimov. So John Alon and Kadis Ibrahimov, those don't count. I'm not going to count Staropoli either. Dawkins is a borderline, that might count, but probably not. Phil Hawes is a solid win, I'd say, but Phil Hawes is just not durable. And then that Jack Hermanson win is Delizzi's best win by a mile, I think. Very, very impressive win there, and especially how he did it as well. Whereas Marvin, Vettori, Kevin Holland, that's a good win. Jack Hermanson, that's a good win. Paulo Costa, that's a good win. Andrew Sanchez, that's a solid win. Cesar Ferreira, that's a solid win. Carl Roberson, not a good win, but he's losing to really good guys. Like he's lost to Whittaker, Adesanya, Antonio Carlos Jr. back like 9 years ago. So I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. If Delizzi beats Vettori, that's gonna be Delizzi's best win by a country mile. Holland don't count. That's a good win. Delizzi will start with Marvin all the way to the belt. I don't know about that. Maybe. I mean, what? No, not maybe. What? I don't know. I'd be shocked if Delizzi got anywhere near the title, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. Anyway, moving on. 3 fights left. We got Gunnar Nelson going against Bryan Barberena. We got Gunnar Nelson as a very big favorite, but these lines are coming down quite a bit throughout the week. Like Gunnar Nelson was like minus 450 at some point. He's now minus 360. That fight doesn't go. Opened up minus 325. It's now minus 175. Yeah, I think it's a bad matchup for Barberena. I think it's a pretty clearly, and that's why the line's where it's at. I mean, Barberena, like stylistically, I believe he's taken this fight on short notice too, right? Like, not sure why Barberena's taken this fight. I mean, he has horrific takedown defense, probably some of the worst takedown defense you'll ever see in the division. And he's going against Gunnar Nelson, who will go for takedowns and has a very good submission game. So, I mean, stylistically, it's a rough matchup for Bryan Barberena. He's getting taken down by very questionable guys like Anthony Ivy, Jason Witt, Matt Brown took him down 5 times. I mean, his takedown defense is just non-existent. It's not there. So Gunnar Nelson, literally all he has to do is go for a takedown and he will get it. Barberena does typically do a very good job at getting back up, but he's getting back up against Anthony Ivy, Jason Witt, Matt Brown, guys like that. I don't think you're going to want Gunnar Nelson on top of you. And, we see Barberena expose his back to get up a lot of times, and that's going to be trouble against Gunnar Nelson here. So, yeah, I know, again, it's probably a wide line just because how can you trust Gunnar Nelson at this price tag? But if he goes out there with the right game plan, which I don't see why he wouldn't, he should win this fight and win it pretty convincingly by submission. So I did take a half unit shot on Gunnar Nelson by submission. I got it at plus 115. It's actually plus 125 now. So the line kind of moved against me, but I still think the most likely scenario is that Gunnar Nelson by submission. I know he didn't submit Takashi Sato, and that was a big talking point this week, but Sato literally did not try to get up. He literally just accepted that he's going to lose the fight, and he took a moral victory in terms of, hey, I didn't get submitted, and just didn't do anything at all. Whereas Barberena, he's going to try to get up. He's going to probably make mistakes, and he's probably going to get sub. So I like Nelson by sub. Don't mind Nelson on DK, set 9,200, takedown upside, submission upside. Barberena, if he is able to stuff the takedowns, which I'd be shocked if he did. I mean, if you're not stuffing takedowns from, some of these other guys, I don't know if you're going to stuff these. Yeah, if he stuffs the takedowns, though, at 7,000, yeah, he could soar well in a win. I just think it's a really rough matchup. And I think that's why the line's where it's at. What's up, Zayed? How you doing? Started early today. Yep, starting at 4 Eastern time. A lot going on tonight, so had to get it out a little bit early. And we have an early start time tomorrow. I'm tired of being fooled by Delizzi. Yep, he has been fooling a lot of people. Delizzi resume lacks names, but he's constantly training with top 10 middleweights at Extreme Couture. I think Delizzi's solid. I think he is. Can't bring up that comment, Chris. Can't understand the hate for Shoeface. He's the PFL champ. Who's hating on Shoeface? Not me. I think he's a very good fighter. Nelson striking is trash. Yep, and he doesn't even throw anything. Barberena has been subbed twice in his entire career. Yep, he has. Bam Bam never subbed under 1.5 rounds. Yeah, I'm personally picking like a first round sub, but I think it could be in second or third. Hot take. I think Gunnar wins on the feet too. That's going to be hard when he doesn't throw anything, but he has that weird style, right? But, Barberena is going to come forward throwing just a lot more, where I think I would favor Barberena. But I kind of see your angle. He'll keep that distance with the karate stance and pick his shots well versus Barberena, who needs to be in close. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's probably going to struggle doing that. I mean, for Nelson to win, especially cover this price tag, he needs to go for takedowns, and I think he knows that. Zayed with the $5, $5.50. Appreciate you, Zayed. Always in here supporting. Does mean a lot, man. Best of luck to you tomorrow. Great with the early start time for us Europeans. Yes, sir. There you go. All right. A couple more fights here. We have Rafael Fiziev going against Justin Gaethje. Co-main event, fight of the night contender, fight of the year contender. I mean, this fight's going to be madness from the jump. Yeah, at first I thought I'd be picking Gaethje here, but after looking into it, I don't know. I feel like these wars are starting to really come and pile up on Justin Gaethje. I feel like the damage is starting to pile up here. 27 fights now in the career of Justin Gaethje, and that's a lot of fights considering, the way this guy fights, Justin Gaethje. He's always in a war. He's never in a boring fight, and that's a good thing for us fans, but that's a terrible thing for your own health. Justin Gaethje has taken a ton of damage throughout his career. He's always that guy willing to eat one, to give one. He actually eats 7.85 to give 7.46. So he is eating a lot of strikes with his face, and that's going to catch up to you eventually. I just think he's looked off lately. I think Gaethje's looked a little off. I think that damage is catching up on him here. I know it's against Charles Oliveira, but I just didn't like how he looked in that fight. He was really wild and reckless, which he always is, but he looked very tired, like halfway through the first round in what was, a scheduled 5-round fight. He looked tired. He looked exhausted. He was getting hurt with, pretty much everything that was landing from Oliveira. And then eventually Oliveira did catch him and sub him shortly after. So I'm wondering if, Justin Gaethje, once super durable, I'm wondering if that durability is starting to go away a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, this is going to be a war. It's got to be a war. Justin Gaethje's not going to be able to go out there and out technical Fiziev. He's not going to be able to go out there and go strike for strike with Fiziev. He needs to go out there and try to take his head off. That's how he's going to have to fight this fight to win it. He's going to have to pressure, from the jump. You can't give Fiziev space here. So yeah, I think for Gaethje to win this fight, he's going to have to knock out Fiziev, and that's going to be a lot easier said than done. I do have a bet in this fight. I love violence in this fight quite a bit. I think there is a little bit of recency bias with Justin Gaethje's fight with Michael Chandler. Like, we got to remember, like, that was the only fight where Justin Gaethje went the distance in a 10-fight sample. Justin Gaethje's been to decision once against Chandler, and that fight could have been stopped like twice. So, and I think this fight does finish here one way or another, because I think these guys are just going to stand and bang, and I think somebody's going to eventually get caught with something. So I like violence. I like the fight ends by knockout, though. It's minus 150 on BetRivers Sportsbook and Unibet. I put 1.5 units on that fight to end by knockout. Pretty self-explanatory. I think this fight finishes at a pretty high clip, and neither of these guys are going to wrestle. Justin Gaethje, wrestling background, but he's completed maybe one takedown in the UFC. Maybe one. I think it might be even 0. And then Fiziev obviously is not going to wrestle either. These guys are going to stand and strike. A sub would shock me either way. They each do have one sub, though, but it was... both were very, very long time ago. So yeah, I like the fight to end by knockout, minus 150, and prove that fight doesn't go, price it a little bit. And I was hoping money would come in on the non-violence this week, and it has a tad, but I was hoping to get like the fight doesn't go at a little bit better of a price, but that's not happening. Minus 215 for the fight doesn't go. I do see minus 186, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, if the line comes in a little bit more on this non-violence, I'll probably be adding on, but I don't really expect that to happen at this point. So I'm going to take Fiziev by knockout, but I think somebody's getting knocked out on this one, and I think it's the best fight of the night. I pity the fool who doesn't hit the like button. Yeah, guys, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. I think Gaethje is gonna smash to a win. He will definitely fight for your money, that's for sure. Hardy and Santos are my dogs of the week. I'm also playing Leon. Yeah, I don't mind the shot on Macedo Hardy. I don't mind that shot. Just a little sprinkle for me though, from a DraftKings perspective. And then Santos too. I think Santos is an absolutely a dog that is live. Brady, are you wearing the William Knight Venom fight kit? No, I would never be wearing anything William Knight. Justin, the glass chin Gaethje going to be on the mat by round 2. I don't know about the glass chin, but I think the chin is diminishing a tad. Hi, who's your parlay for this week? I have 2 parlays. The first one is the over 1.5 in the main event, parlayed with Jake Hadley. And then I have Marvin Vettori parlayed with the fight doesn't go in the Morales Duncan fight. Yep, that's a very popular bet there. I wouldn't do it. Obviously, this could go over 1.5, but I mean, it's probably not worth what it's going to do to your mental health. I mean, you'll probably lose at least 3 years off your life betting the over in this fight. Just because Gaethje is going to go out there and fight like a complete madman, and have no regards for his own safety. I mean, so it might hit, but at what cost? Especially when you're laying chalk. I mean, the over 1.5 is like minus 190. I don't know. Yeah, I know a lot of people are on Roman. I tried to pick him as well, but I just couldn't see like a path to victory in my head for him outside of a toe hold or a flying knee bar or I don't know, something weird. Like I really don't see a path for Roman. But I mean, he had to be the first person to knock out the Lidze, and we've seen crazier things happen. So it's MMA, anything can happen. All right. Main event time, Kamaru Usman going against Leon Edwards, the third matchup. Actually more so looking forward to the co-main event than this main event, but still it's a good main event. Yeah, the only bet I have is that over 1.5 in this one. Wait, I do have another bet as well, but my biggest bet is the over 1.5. 2.5 units on this over 1.5 parlayed with that Hadley money line. Like I said, on Bet365, they have the over 1.5 at minus 475, and everywhere else is like minus 800 now. So if you got Bet365, I think the over is a good parlay piece. Even don't hate like the over 2.5 as a parlay piece. I think this fight does go the distance in this one. The other bet I do have is a half unit shot on Leon Edwards finish only. It's the scorecards, no action. I got it on DraftKings Sportsbook at plus 140. Everywhere else it was like minus 110. I think. Yeah. So, oh no, it's plus 115. Plus 115 for that now. Plus 120, I think I still see it out there. But yeah, I'm taking a shot on that scorecards, no action. I think Usman wins by decision. I think that's the most likely outcome here. But it's just all the narratives that kind of scare me away from Kamaru Usman here. We've heard it. I've heard it probably a million times now. The knees with Usman, right? Everyone wants to talk about the knees. I think he had like another injury as well. He's going to London for this fight. He just got knocked out. He's now 35, 36. I kind of questioned maybe the motivation of Usman at this point. All the narrative things kind of scare me away from laying that chalky price tag on Usman. It's really hard to pick against him after watching that second fight back because he won every round outside the first pretty cleanly, was on his way to winning a decision unanimously. And then he got caught with like a minute left, and that's MMA. You get caught sometimes, but Usman was clearly the better fighter that fight up until that head kick. So I don't know, maybe Leon Edwards can do it again, but I think if this fight does go the distance, I got to favor Usman. And I don't know, I have a bad feeling about this fight. Like it's been in the back of my head all week. Like I don't know, it seems like a good spot for Usman, but I just have a weird feeling about this one. So I'm passing from a money line perspective, but I do have the over 1.5 in a parlay, and I do have that finish only prop for Leon Edwards as well. So that means if Leon Edwards wins inside the distance, the bet hits. If Usman wins by decision, the bet voids, which I think that's the most likely scenario. And then if Usman wins inside the distance, the bet it loses. But Edwards has never been finished, and I don't think that I forget what I was going to say. This kind of caught me off guard here. I think Malcolm Gordon pulls off an upset. Why do you think that? People are nuts thinking Vettori might lose to Lidze. He's only lost to Adesanya and Whittaker. Every other fight he dominated. I mean, people really like the Lindsay. People really like him. Makhachev and Casey are the safest ones. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Makhachev with that shoulder injury. Casey, I don't know. Is Gunner a parlay piece or fight starts round 2? I think fight starts round 2 in the main event I think is solid. Gunner fight starts round 2. I don't know if I'd do that personally, but I think I'd rather go with Gunner. All right. So yeah, we did it. 13 bets for this card. Most of them, not most, but a couple sprinkles. I don't think I'll be adding anything, but I'll be getting out my betting breakdown video very shortly as well. So make sure you look out for that. That'll be out in about an hour and 40 minutes. Going to be getting it out early because of the early start time. But my action is on 1 unit for the fight doesn't go in the Miller Hardy fight, plus 100. 1 unit on the fight doesn't go in the Murphy Santos fight, plus 105. A quarter unit on Murphy by knockout, plus 400. I got the Jack Shore Mac 1 Americani over 1.5 rounds, 1.25 units, minus 125. Jack Shore wins in round 2, quarter unit plus 460. Jack Shore wins in round 3, quarter unit plus 850. I have 2.5 units on Usman Edwards over 1.5, parlayed with Jake Hadley. That came out to minus 184. I have Jake Hadley wins inside the distance, 1.5 units, minus 135. I got Leon Edwards scorecards equals no action, the finish only, half a unit plus 140. I have 1 unit on the Patterson Ashmos under 1.5 minus or under 2.5 minus 130. I have the Gaethje Fiziev fight ends by knockout, 1.5 units minus 150. I have a half unit on Nelson by submission plus 115. And then finally, I have a 1 unit parlay plus 100. Vettori money line parlayed with Morales Duncan. Fight doesn't go to decision. So that is my action for the week. Looking to keep it rolling. Should be a good card. Wishing you good luck on Saturday. You as well, Zayed. Appreciate you. Are you talking about the Gunner fight though, right? I think it should hit. I'm personally picking a first round sub, but it could be in any round. Usman's going to destroy Leon. Hopefully he destroys him by decision. Telling you, Brady, you better hit those Leon round sub props 100 to 1 a piece for real. I'll have to check them out, man. I'll have to check them out. I bet they are juicy though. Best wishes for your success, boys. Success, boys. You as well, there. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out of here. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications. I'll be putting out a video shortly for the betting breakdown, and then I'll be going live 1 hour prior to the prelims tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern time. 12 o'clock Eastern time. Narco, Gordo, and Billy Briz, myself, cannot wait for this card. 15 fights to work with, should be a good one for sure. All right, guys, best of luck. I'll be doing my betting breakdown. I'll talk about them again. I know I go a little bit fast, but I'm in a kind of a hurry. I got to go play a basketball game. It's the playoffs, and it starts at 7, and it's like a 30-minute drive. So yes, I gotta auction off these bets a little bit on the way out. So best of luck, guys. We'll talk to you soon, and see you later.